Wonder, Chapter 28, The Cheese Touch. I noticed not too long ago that even though people were getting used to me, no one would actually touch me. I didn't realise this at first because it's not like kids go around touching each other that much in middle school anyway. But last Thursday in dance class, which is like my least favourite class, Mrs. Antanabi, the teacher, tried to make Xmina Chin be my dance partner. Now, I've never actually seen someone have a panic attack before, but I've heard about it, and I'm pretty sure Xmina had a panic attack at that second. She got really nervous and turned pale and literally broke out into a sweat within a minute. And then she came up with some lame excuse about really having to go to the bathroom. Anyway, Mrs. Antanabi let her off the hook because she ended up not making anyone dance together. Then yesterday in my science elective, we were doing this cool mystery powder investigation where we had to classify a substance as an acid or a base. Everyone had to heat their mystery powders on a heating plate and make observations, so we were all huddled around the powders with our notebooks. Now, there are 8 kids in the elective, and 7 of them were squished together on one side of the plate, while one of them, me, had loads of room on the other side. So of course I noticed this, but I was hoping Miss Rubin wouldn't notice this, because I didn't want her to say something. But of course she did notice, and of course she said something. "Guys, there's plenty of room on that side. Tristan, Nina, go over there," she said. So Tristan and Nina scooted over to my side. Tristan and Nina have always been okay, nice to me. I want to go on record as saying that. Not super nice, like they go out their way to hang out with me, but okay nice. Like they say hello to me and talk to me like normal. And they didn't even make a face when Miss Rubin told them to come onto my side, which a lot of kids would do. Anyway, everything was going fine until Tristan's mystery powder started melting. He moved his foil off the plate just as my powder began to melt too, which is why I went to move mine off the plate, and then my hand accidentally bumped his hand for a fraction of a second. Tristan jerked his hand away so fast that he dropped his foil on the floor, while also knocking everyone else's foil off the heating plate. "Tristan!" yelled Mrs. Rubin, but Tristan didn't even care about the spilled powder on the floor or that he ruined the experiment. What he was most concerned about was getting to the lab sink to wash his hands as fast as possible. That's when I knew for sure that there was this thing about touching me at Beecher Prep. I think it's like that cheese touch in Diary of a Wimpy Kid. The kids in that story were afraid they'd catch the cooties if they touched the old mouldy cheese on the basketball court. At Beecher Prep, I'm the old mouldy cheese. Chapter 29, Costumes. For me, Halloween is the best holiday in the world. It even beats Christmas. I get to dress up in a costume. I get to wear a mask. I get to go around like every other kid with a mask and nobody thinks I look weird. Nobody takes a second look. Nobody notices me. Nobody knows me. I wish every day could be Halloween. We could all wear masks all the time. Then we could walk around and get to know each other before we got to see what we looked like under the masks. When I was little, I used to wear an astronaut helmet everywhere I went. To the playground, to the supermarket, to pick Vera up from school. Even in the middle of summer, though, it was so hot my face would sweat. I think I wore it for a couple of years, but I had to stop wearing it when I had my eye surgery. I was about 7, I think. Even then, we couldn't find that helmet after that. Mum looked everywhere for it. She figured that it had probably ended up in Gran's attic, and she kept meaning to look for it. But then I got used to not wearing it. I have pictures of me in all my Halloween costumes. My first Halloween I was a pumpkin. My second I was Tigger. My third I was Peter Pan. My dad dressed up as Captain Hook. My fourth I was Captain Hook, and my dad dressed up as Peter Pan. My 5th I was an astronaut. My 6th I was Obi-Wan Kenobi. My 7th I was a clone trooper. My 8th I was Darth Vader. My 9th I was the Bleeding Scream, the one that had fake blood oozing out over the skull mask. This year I'm going to be Boba Fett. Not Boba Fett the kid in Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, but Boba Fett, the man from Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. Mum searched everywhere for the costume but couldn't find one in my size, so she brought a Jango Fett costume since Jango was Boba's dad and wore the same armour, and then painted the armour green. She did some other stuff to make it look worn too. Anyway, it looks totally real. Mum's good at costumes. In homeroom, we all talked about what we were going to be for Halloween. Charlotte was going as Hermione from Harry Potter. Jack was going as Wolfman. I heard that Julian was going as Jango Fett, which was a weird coincidence. I don't think he liked hearing that I was going as Boba Fett. On the morning of Halloween, Via had this big crying meltdown about something. Via's always been so calm and cool, but this year she had a couple of these kind of fits. Dad was late for work and was like, "Via, let's go, let's go." Usually Dad is super patient about things, but not when it comes to his being late for work, and his yelling just stressed Via out even more, and she started crying louder. So Mum told Dad to take me to school and that she'd deal with Via. Then Mum kissed me goodbye quickly before I even put on my costume and disappeared into Via's room. "Augie, let's go now," said Dad. "I have a meeting I can't be late for." "I haven't put my costume on yet, so put it on already. 5 minutes, I'll meet you outside." I rushed to my room and started to put on the Boba Fett costume, but all of a sudden I didn't feel like wearing it. I'm not sure why. Maybe because it had all these belts that needed to be tightened, and I needed someone's help to put it on. Or maybe it was because it smelt like a little lick of paint. All I knew was that it was a lot of work to put the costume on, and Dad was waiting and would get super impatient if I made him late. So at the last minute I threw on the bleeding Scream costume from last year. It was such an easy costume, just a long black robe and a big white mask. I yelled goodbye from the door on my way out, but Mum didn't even hear me. "I thought you were going as Jango Fett," said Dad when I got outside. "Boba Fett." "Whatever," said Dad. "This is a better costume